Sorry. So I thought I started a live. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm going mad. See, I would have thought that my live stream might be showing up on YouTube after about 20 seconds. There we go. Fucking hell. It's just not good enough, is it? It's just incompetent. I mean, why do YouTube take so long? It's just not good enough, is it? It's just incompetent. Whoops. Did anyone hear that? That was just a joke. Just a joke. Messing about. No, it wasn't actually. I was being serious. Right, here we go then. To anyone who thinks they might have heard me losing my rag there, no, you didn't. You didn't actually hear that. That wasn't real. That wasn't real. We need to change the record and, you know, just reassess how you saw that situation. ZX10, hello mate. Evening. Good to see you. ZX10, you're not racing tonight? Oh, you are. I can see you. Yep, in the Mercedes. There we go. Can I ask, actually? I'm just interested. Because I saw that the attendance, there was only 11 people confirmed. Have they, like, merged it with another division or something? I'm just a bit intrigued. Because I might want to give a bit of info on this, on the stream. I don't know really what to say. Right, gotcha. Yeah, because I saw 9 people decided they didn't want to race tonight. I thought, what's going on? I mean, that's just bonkers. I get maybe 2 or 3 of them might actually have valid reasons, but yeah, no idea where people are. No. Oh well. Here we are, everybody. Audio check 1 2 3. Checking 1 2 3 1 2 3. Checking. Would help if I turn the volume up before checking it. 2 3 1 2 3. Checking. Here we are then. Welcome back everybody to the Red Arrows Formula 1 League, as we're back here tonight for the 10th round of this 14 round season for season 16, as we approach the final few races here in the championship, as we're here at a wet Suzuka for the latest round, the Japanese Grand Prix. So it should be an interesting qualifying session here. It's conditions that we're not exactly strangers to in this part of the world. Obviously, Suzuka has played host to many a wet race in the past, and actually very often at this track you do find that the rain gets so heavy that they have to abandon the race. In fact, more often than not, the rain is you get extreme weather here. It's either completely bright and sunny and lovely, or it's absolutely hammering it down, and there is almost no in between at times. I do remember 2014 Japanese Grand Prix, there was well, we all know what happened in that one, but there was treacherous conditions, and obviously we know that there was a tragic incident involving Joe Bianchi during that one. But in terms of the wet weather races, we also had Fuji as well, not Suzuka. I remember 07, there was wet weather, but otherwise, actually, I can think pretty much every time we've had wet weather, the race has been delayed, abandoned, or you've had qualifying delayed to the next day. That's happened at least 3 times since I've been watching F1, where the qualifying has been a washout and you've ended up having the race or the qualifying put on to Sunday morning the next day. And that's happened at least 3 times since I've been watching F1, so it's quite a normal occurrence here in this part of the world. But very often you either have treacherous rainy conditions or you have bright sunshine around this track and in this part of the world. But nonetheless, coming into tonight, the championship standings, we've got to go to the championship standings because I think it's still on the line here this season as we approach the business end of the season. So coming into tonight for this round 10 of the season, the standings are looking a little bit like this. So you've got Cucumber, who's leading the way coming into tonight, sitting on 154 points, the champion from 2 seasons ago, looking to try and regain his title. So he leads the championship by 24 points, ahead of Corey Brennan, who sits in second place on 130 points, 24 points behind. And then you've got ZX10, who's not too far behind Corey, but 39 points now off of the championship lead in third place. ZX10 sat on 115 points. Then you've got Formula C, who's on iRacing tonight. I had a little look on Discord, playing iRacing. I don't know what's going on there, but anyway, Super Striker 5th behind Formula C on 85 points. Then we've got Jordan 6th on 81, followed by Onslow, who is in 7th place on 78 points. Honey Badger sits in 8th place on 76, with Shane 9th on 75 points, and Glenn currently in 10th place in the standings on 61. Andrew Pittsmith in 11th on 57 points, ahead of North Dover, who's 12th on 51 points, with Angry Guns 13th on 34, Little Mahin 14th on 30 points, and Nobby Bootneck at P15 on 30 points. Ernie Straight Minging, the leader of the Premier Formula Racing League, which I commentated on last night, 16th on 28 points. Brandon Asquith in 17th on 25. Richie Chappell is 18th on 25 points, only reserved this season, but did win round 3 of the season, which I think was it Imola, was it? I believe it was, if memory serves me correctly. Yeah. Pardon me, that was a hiccup. Goodness me, that's the first one in a while. Didn't have any last night. It was quite a remarkable night. Lucky Luciano sits 19th on 24 points, ahead of Murph, who's 20th on 21. Al Driver is 21st on 18 points. Then you've got Youngie, who sits 22nd on 17 points. Angst 23rd on 13 points. Lycorius is in 24th place on 5 points. A reserve driver, Lycorius, goodness me, this is going on a bit, but we're down to the reserves now. So 24th is Lycorius on 5 points. Smoking Ash in 25th on 4 points. McCarthy 26th on 4. Then you've got Archie in 27th on 2 points, followed by Ocean Blade, who's 28th on 2 points. You've got Few in 29th place on 2 points, ahead of Gavboy, who's 30th on just a single point, alongside GB Dave and Badman. Still yet to make his first appearance of this season, currently 32nd in the championship standings as a reserve here for this season. So Badman obviously was racing last night in the Premier Formula Racing League, and used to race in Purple Sector. I think he might have been kicked out at the end of last season. I'm not sure. I don't know how. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speculate. Anyway, so Cucumber is currently top of the leaderboard here. The only driver into the 140 so far in this one. So Cucumber doing a very good job so far. Oh, he gets a big slide there through Degner, so that's going to have definitely prevented him from improving on that current best he's on, unless suddenly the track becomes dry magically. But we've got Ernie, who's gone into second place here on a 1 minute 40.1, only 2 tenths behind Cucumber at the moment, so showing in these early stages of qualifying that he's a match for a Cucumber in these types of conditions. And Ernie, obviously one of the high flyers in the Premier Formula Racing League last night as well. Now I only commentate on 3 leagues. It's much easier to keep track of who's in what league. So Ernie, I think, is in every single league I commentate on now, which is quite incredible. But Ernie is one of the regular fixtures on my TV over the course of Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, and he's currently in second place at the moment. ZX10 sits in third place on a 42.2 ahead of Quimo, who just goes up into fourth place there ahead of Murph. So Quimo there doing a 42.7 ahead of Murph in fifth on a 42.9. We've got Andrew Pittsmith in sixth place on a 43.1 as Onzi just moves up into third place there onto a 41.5. But I'll tell you what, the top 2 doing bits right now. They're well ahead of everybody else, Cucumber and Ernie, as Andrew Pittsmith comes into the pits. Eric Pinto currently in 8th place on a 43.5 ahead of CJ, who's 9th on a 43.7. Then you've got Northover completing the top 10 as things stand on a 45.5. Percival is in 11th on 46.7. And then you've got Meldav, who is in 12th place at the moment on a 52.6. Corey always grinding. Clen, Luigi Sven and Angry Guns all still yet to set lap times in this session at the moment. I think we may have had a driver join just as we were jumping into the session. I'm not 100% on that, but I think possibly there might be someone who joined just after we get into qualifying, so we might have 18 drivers on the grid for the start of the race. But whoever joined for qualifying will be starting from the back of the grid, so it's going to be an uphill task here for whoever that was. I didn't quite catch who it was, but they're going to have a bit of a challenge on their hands as Corey goes into third place there on a 41.4. That's a solid lap time there from Corey. Very competitive indeed there from him. And so far, looking like the track might be starting to dry out a little bit here, so maybe you might be seeing a few drivers switching to the slicks later on in the session. I wouldn't say we're at that point yet. I'd say we're still very much inters at this point, but you can see a dry lane starting to appear, so maybe give it 5 minutes or so and potentially we might be seeing some drivers decide to risk it for a biscuit here, as Ernie currently in P2. Cucumber's improved the benchmark here, but Ernie on a quick lap coming around the front corner. Oh, he doesn't improve by enough there, so he's a second adrift now. Cucumber found an absolute load of time on that last lap there, and it's gone to a 38.6. So he's a second clear of Ernie in second place. These two still showing the way, but Corey finding more time here over the course of this lap. 1.8 up in the middle sector. That'll put him on course for a 1:39. If he can find a few more tenths in his final sector, he can get himself on the front row here. ZX10 has gone up into P3, but is about 2 seconds off for the pace and a second off for a front row spot at the moment. Corey, though, has got a much better chance of getting pretty close here to the front runners. He's now 1.6 up through the middle sector. So that 1.8 was through the first sector alone. So here comes Corey then into the final chicane. Now, can he nail the exit here as he comes out onto the start-finish straight, or the start-finish curve, should we say? Gets very loose there, coming out the final corner. I think maybe the rain has started to pick up again in this final part of the lap, but Corey goes P3 and only a tenth off of a front row start there, so doing a great job there is Corey, as Luigi Sven there moving up into fourth place as well. So laps are starting to come in thick and fast here at this point. More and more drivers getting their laps in and getting more acclimatised here with this Suzuka circuit. Obviously the track is still raining, so you know it's not going to, track conditions aren't going to be improving rapidly here, but I suppose they're probably shedding the water at a quicker rate than what it's falling, so I think generally it's getting a bit quicker, but all it would take would be for the rain to just pick up a little bit here, and we're going to see it'd be quite easily, you could see a worsening of the track conditions. Onzi coming around the final corner, moves up into fourth place there with that one, currently a second and a half quicker than what he went before, but about a second and a half off for the provisional pole time as well, being set there by the Cucumber. Got Angry Guns currently in seventh place. Meldav there coming into the pits there, P8 at the moment, as CJ moving up into eighth place there with that last lap, onto a 41.6. Clen there going up into sixth place now. So lap time's piling in at the moment. Quimo here going through the hairpin, the Kobayashi hairpin. Murph and Percival in the pits there. Andrew Pittsmith currently out there on an out lap by the looks of it, or is it an in lap? I'm not quite sure. But Cucumber, the provisional pole sitter, finding half a second here through the first sector, so showing no signs of letting up at the moment. Still absolutely flying here around this Suzuka circuit. Here he comes into Spoon with just a few corners left to go here on this particular lap that he's on. Gets a little bit loose there onto the curb coming out of Spoon as he comes down the back straight towards 130R then. 8/10 up here is Cucumber, looking on course for a 137 at least. Probably is going to be a 137 here for the provisional poleman, championship leader, former champion here from 2 seasons ago at the Red Arrows Formula 1 League, as he comes around the final corner here at Suzuka. And what is he going to be able to put on the board here? Cucumber coming over the line, 37.9, just dips into the 37th, but I think the final sector might be getting a bit wetter here, because it seems like drivers are finding time in the first 2 sectors, but then in the final sector we're seeing the times dropping off a little bit. So I think the first 2 sectors are improving, but the final sector might be getting a bit more slippery. So that's going to be interesting now, because if people are getting too confident in that final sector, then we might be seeing lap times be squandered, which is going to obviously hurt those who are trying to improve, or maybe haven't put their best laps together yet. And that's going to be one to watch out for. Always grinding here, coming around the final corner, and moves up into P15 with that one from P17, so solid job there from Always Grinding. As Northover is now in 2nd place as well. I didn't even notice that, but Northover has got himself in the mix here at the top of the leaderboard. Oh, as Corey there goes up into 2nd place. Only 3/10 shy of Cucumber now is Corey. Corey obviously the nearest challenger to Cucumber in the championship. 24 points. The gap is certainly by no means unassailable at this point, as Louis G. Fenn has also moved up the order a little bit here, up into 3rd place as well. Only currently in the pits. He's not going to be able to do a whole lot from there, well, I wouldn't have thought, as Onzi here is coming down the back straight towards 130R once again here. Half a second up through the middle sector. Here he comes then into the final few corners now. Here he comes then through the final flat out right hander at this Suzuka circuit. Onzi over the line. P3 there for Onzi. Improves his lap by 0.8 of a second. Moves ahead of Luigi Sven. But still quite a way off of the top 2 here. Cucumber and Corey at this moment in time. Ernie's back out on the circuit, so we'll be probably doing a lap pretty shortly. We've got Clen in the pits at the moment, currently in P7. There's an X10 on an out lap. Angry Guns has backed out of whatever he was doing here, and he's going to get an invalid lap time there, which means he's going to have to come into the pits and get a new set of tyres. As a result of that, CJ up into P7 there with that latest lap. 40.1 there for CJ. Still going to look to try and improve on that, I would have thought. Cucumber still in the pits at the moment, having just come in. Corey's now coming in as well, so drivers going to be coming in, maybe putting a new set of intermediate tyres on for their final runs. It's not going to be dry tyres, I don't think, for anybody here tonight. The rain's still falling, clearly still a fair bit of standing water out there, so I think that they're going to have to stick with the inters. Track is improving very, very slightly, even with the rain still falling, because the dry line starting to sort of appear at moments, and then when the track goes quiet we're seeing a bit more of a slippery sort of line starting to re-emerge. But at this point it's looking like it's going to be inters for this final run, and who knows, obviously with the track quietening down it might even allow for the track to build up and for more standing water to reassemble, especially in certain parts of the track where in the dips on the track where it builds up. But that's going to be very interesting to see. Onzi coming around the final part of the lap here. Is he on a flying lap? I mean, was he on a flying lap? He certainly isn't now. Is he going to go for another one here, or is he going to be bringing it into the pits? I think he's coming into the pits here, because he's not going to be going to have a valid lap after cutting the chicane there. What about Ernie then? this man here was pretty close to Cucumber on the first runs, showed the potential. Now what has he got up his sleeve here? He's probably just got this one to go. He might have another chance because obviously the intermediate tyres can generally do 2 flying laps. If you've got the fuel to do it, then there's no reason why not. Here he comes through the Degners then. Full commitment there through Degner 1. Has he taken too much there to get a good exit out of Degner 2? Maybe slightly. Seemed a little bit slidey there as he came out of Degner 2. Here he comes down towards Kobayashi hairpin. Nice line through there, taking plenty of speed, missing the apex. You don't want to be tapping the apex through that corner at that sort of speed, getting onto the power, because in these conditions it will absolutely send you onto the gravel. But Ernie here through in towards Spoon Curve now. And getting all onto the AstroTurf there. Did he get any invalid lap time? Oh, I think he might have done there. That could have been track limits, and that could be Ernie's chance at pole out of the window here. He comes out of Spoon now. Let's see what Ernie's going to post here. Is it going to be a flying lap? No, he's lost time anyway, so it doesn't matter. So Ernie's going to go for probably another lap here. Let's hope he wasn't listening to the stream. I hope I haven't cursed him there. Andrew Pittsmith has done a great job here, up into P6, so getting himself well in the thick of it here is Andrew. Cucumber, the provisional pole sitter, looking to try and cement that position here, but Corey will be looking to try and take it away. Top 2 in the championship, probably the contenders for this season, right at the sharp end here. As ZX10 has gone up into 3rd place, so very nice up there from ZX10, about just under a second off at the fastest time there being set by Cucumber. Sure he'll be pretty happy with that. See North over here coming towards the end of this current lap, but he's way down on his personal best, and it's not going to be an improvement here. And he's got to hope he's got the fuel left for another run here. As Clenn has gone up into 3rd place. So Clenn getting himself pretty close to the leaders here. Only 6/10 off for the pole time. Has he got enough fuel to do one more run here? I'll have to keep an eye on his first sector here to see whether or not he's got a chance of doing that. Ernie is flying through the first sector with 3.5 up. Let's see what his middle sector's like. He's going to get a bit of slipstream here. Ernie is 8/10 up through the middle sector, so he could be well and truly on the front 2 rows here. He's going to be well in the mix. We know that the final sector has been a little bit treacherous. Let's hope that this car in front of him doesn't hold him up. It might be able to give him a tow here. Ernie here, coming through the final corner here at Suzuka, trying to get a good position. He gets P2 there. Ernie onto the front row of the grid, only 2/10 off of the pole time. So fantastic lap there from Ernie. And Cucumber's out there looking to try and improve the provisional pole sitter. Corey is also out there as well. So both of these two gunning for pole position. Did Cucumber make a little bit of a mistake there? I think that might have cost him ever so slightly. It has. Cucumber is 6/10 down, but we know the track is improving, so 6/10 down at this point in the lap might not be the end of the world for him. What is Corey doing through the first sector? Corey's 3/10 up on his personal best. At this point, that will put him on the verge of Cucumber's fastest time, so it's going to be nip and tuck here between these two for pole position, Cucumber and Corey. Ernie's managed to do a time good enough for the 2nd place at the moment, but we don't know what it's going to be once these two have done their laps. Clenn's already rolled the dice for his final run. He's already staked his claim. Now he's got to wait and see what the rest of them do. Onzi could be a threat to Clenn's 4th place here. But Cucumber and Corey are going to fight it out for pole here, as Cucumber's managed to claw back 3/10 to the middle sector, but is still down on his previous best here. What could he do into the final sector? Can he improve on his provisional pole time? Corey's going to be out there. Corey will definitely improve, so Cucumber needs to really lower this benchmark as he comes around the final corner here, and he doesn't. He goes slower than his previous time, so it's over to Corey now, and he's 7/10 up through the middle sector, so unless he absolutely flosses lines here, he's going to get pole position. Corey over the line and takes pole there by half a second, and it wasn't even close there in the end. Cucumber threw away the pole there by making that mistake through the first sector as he was going for that long left-hander before the Degners, and Corey there taking pole ahead of the Cucumber, with Onzi and Ernie rounding out the front 2 rows there. So in the end, Onzi did take away that those positions there. Moved ahead of Glenn, Northover and Ernie. And Ernie, who was on the front row in those closing stages of qualifying, ends up in 4th place. So Corey Cucumber, Onzi and Ernie, with Northover completing the top 5. Glenn, ZX10, Angry Guns, Luigi, Sven and Andrew in the top 10, followed by Quimo with CJ ahead of Always Grinding and Eric Pinto. And then you've got Percival, Meldav, Murph and GNR Kiwi rounding out the grid. There's Luigi saying he had to let a fast car by and therefore cut one of the last few corners. Oh yeah, you don't want to do that. That's I mean, if you're in the final sector of any racetrack, it doesn't matter if it actually gives you an advantage on the next lap or not. It's a bit of a weird thing, the F1 game. I don't know, actually now, I'm surprised it hasn't got a bit more of a sophisticated system now. But I remember on the old F1 games, it used to be if you were in the final sector of the lap, regardless of where you were in the final sector, it would automatically invalidate the next lap, regardless of whether or not it actually gave you an advantage starting the next lap. It's very, very outdated. I'm surprised it still runs on that, but it just doesn't really make much sense, to be honest. But anyway, here we are, everybody, getting ready to go for round 10 of this 14-round season for the Red Arrows Formula 1 League. As Mark Bow chiming in there in the comments saying, hi Andy, good luck all. Hello Mark, good to see you. And obviously wishing his fellow drivers good luck. A few drivers couldn't make it tonight, bit of a shame, but they've combined all of the, well, I think the top 2 tiers. I don't know if there's more than 2 tiers at Red Arrows, but they've combined at least 2 of them anyway. For tonight's action, but it should be a good night, should be a good exciting race, and obviously we've got a championship battle very much on the horizon here, with the driver second in the championship who is starting on pole position ahead of the driver who's leading the championship. So this is a big chance here for Corey Brennan tonight to seize the upper hand in the battle with Soggy Cucumber. And Bo there confirming it is 2 tiers. Yeah, I thought so. But regardless of whether it was 2 tiers, I knew that this was the top 2 tiers anyway, racing together. But here we are then. So, should be going quite soon, I would have thought. Yeah. So 5 races left after tonight. Business end of the season. You have to say, it's looking like the ball's in Soggy Cucumber's court after all. He took the championship 2 seasons ago. He's been in this situation before. But I suppose Corey's got the motivation, hasn't he, to try and do it for the first time, whereas Soggy Cucumber might not be as determined, although I would have thought he would be. I would have thought he'd want to try and do it again. As we see somebody called Sam Newton repeatedly trying to join the lobby, but having the same repeated level of success. And I'm just going to quickly close my door because my nan's carrier is going to be here soon, and there's a vacuum. The front door is really heavy, and whenever you open it, it automatically causes the other doors to shut in the hallway. So do bear with, guys. I'll just be waiting for 1 moment. I really should have taken this opportunity to go for a piss, but I think I've missed my window, unfortunately, which is quite irritating. Never mind. Oh, yeah. is anyone from the league watching by any chance at this point? Because there seems to be a lengthy delay. And oh, here we go. I mean, that was just as I was starting to get worried. It's come up. God, I do love the view. Going down the start-finish straight at the beginning of the races at Suzuka. I don't know why. It looks so iconic. Like so many times, obviously, for many years, Suzuka was the host of the final race of the season. I don't know. It's just something about it. It's just instantly recognisable when you got that camera angle, which is head on with the grid from past turn 1. It just looks so iconic. I just can't even begin to describe it. It looks brilliant. 5 minutes between quali and race allows drivers to go through tolerate. Oh no! I'm going to try and remember that. Can you please, somebody try and remind me that in the comments in between quali and the race, because I really do need the loo quite badly, and I really should have taken that opportunity. I just didn't even think. Right, he's hoping for a safety car. Don't get any ideas, guys. For goodness sake, please. I don't want to have to feel responsible for this. In fact, no, I was only joking. Any safety cars, and there will be consequences. Do not do it. Do not do it. It's not acceptable. Unacceptable. Sorry, I don't condone this or encourage it in any way. But anyway, here we are then. Drivers about to come around. 1:30 here. Moments away from the start of the Japanese Grand Prix here for the Red Arrows Formula 1 League. As we've got Corey and Cucumber lining up on the front row. The two championship contenders here tonight will be getting us underway. And it's going to be exciting to see how these two deal with turn 1. Obviously, we've seen it many championship deciders in real life Formula 1 over the years. We've seen, you know, moments where drivers have or rather deliberately taken out their rival in the championship, albeit probably a bit closer to the end of the season than this. This is the 5th last race of the season rather than the penultimate or last race, so it's a bit different. But I suppose there's plenty on the line still. We're getting to the business end of the season, and with the top 2 in the championship on the front row together, there's always that potential for fireworks. So here we are then, lining up on the grid, moments away from the start of the Japanese Grand Prix here for the Red Arrows Formula 1 League. Corey Brandon on the right, and you've got Cucumber on the left. Here we go then, lights are on, and oh no, lights are on now, sorry. Here we go. And it's lights out and we're underway. And Corey doesn't get a great start there. Cucumber managed to minimise the wheel spin beautifully there down towards turn 1 and leads us coming through the first corner. Corey trying to keep it around the outside, but Cucumber's got that one done there. Up into the lead as Clent here made a move here up into 5th place. And looks like also we've got Luigi Sven there getting up into P7. Looks like a pretty clean start here. Oh no, we've got somebody onto the grass there. Somebody's gone out of shape. Meldav there has dropped down to P18, so an absolute disastrous start there for Meldav. But Cucumber leading the race here ahead of Corey for the time being. And there is Onzi, who's currently running in 3rd place. Also, I just realised that I was watching the wrong monitor just during that start-up procedure, so I've got to apologise for that. My commentary is slightly behind what you saw on the screen in front of you, but at the moment it's Cucumber, Corey, Onzi, Ernie and Clem, the top 5. ZX Tenor there right behind them with Luigi Sven, Northover, Andrew and Quimo completing the top 10 at the moment. Then you've got Angry Guns CJ ahead of Always Grinding with Murph, Eric Pinto 15th place ahead of Percival with Kiwi, GNR Kiwi up into P17, obviously with Meldav's spin going through the S's here on the opening lap of the race. But there are the leaders as they come through 130R for the first time. And Cucumber here with a slender lead over Corey at the moment as Onzi was looking to the inside of Corey. They're going into the chicane, and also Ernie looking pretty racy here on the back of these guys as well. Glenn is right there tonight, our stand-in admin or coordinator for the league here tonight. As we come down the start-finish straight here for the first time, Corey's keeping Cucumber honest as he looks to the inside there into turn 1. Just a little bit too far away to make the move there, but you bet with DRS he'll have a great chance of making that move stick in future laps here. Potentially as early as this lap 2 if he can play his cards right. But so far it's Cucumber out the front here ahead of Corey Brennan, and looking like he's had a very solid first lap, having got the lead into turn 1. Cucumber just got the better bite off the line, got a better jump, and ultimately it served him up brilliantly there going through the rest of that first sector sequence. And Corey is at the moment just got to fight back here. He's obviously got pole position in those wet conditions earlier on. In the dry conditions, we don't really know what to expect. We haven't seen these guys driving in the dry so far during this event tonight because the whole of the qualifying was wet, although the track sort of dried out towards the end. But well, it didn't dry out, it got drier. The track conditions improved, but it didn't dry out at all. I mean, it was wet from start to finish, but we did see some track improvements. We saw some lap times improving over the course of the session, but coming towards the end of lap 2, it looks like we're not really seeing much of a spread here. It looks like the top 10 are still tied at the hip. Everyone from first down to 11th has got DRS on the car in front here, so it's looking to be a very, very tight pack at the moment. And you've got CJ, who hasn't got DRS, but then from CJ down to Meldav in 18th, everyone's got DRS, so practically the whole pack are tied together at the moment, as Corey's got DRS now on the back of Cucumber. Is he going to have a chance into turn 1? I think he might be a little bit too far back. He's going to look to go around the outside here. Is Corey? Has he got this move done? As Cucumber defends the inside line, but Corey's going to keep himself there around the outside. Cucumber managed to defend him off there for the time being, but that was a close call there. Corey had a good chance there, but I think maybe early on in this race it's probably not wise to try and restrict the driver on the inside space like that, and Cucumber managed to squeeze him out and for the time being clings onto this race lead. But excellent racing there from those two. Very clean stuff here in these opening few laps of the race, and Cucumber still surviving out the front. There's a bit of bodywork going off one of the cars there. Not quite sure who that was, but there was definite contact there going through that sequence, as Clen is up the inside of Ernie up into 4th place. So Clen's made that move brilliantly there, coming into the Kobayashi hairpin. It was actually through the right-hander before that where he got the move done, but Clen now onto the cusp of the podium positions for the time being. So he's had a good start to this race as Clen, to be fair to him, having started in P6 here in this race. Corey's still keeping close to the back of Cucumber right now, but everyone's very, very close here from first down to 9th place. They've all got DRS, and they're not just got DRS, they're all practically within half a second of each other, so it's oh so close at this early stage in the race. There's the gap there. You've got Quimo there in 10th ahead of Angry Guns, and then always grinding CJ, Eric, followed by Murph, and then you've got Percival, Meldav and Kiwi at the back of that train of cars at the moment. But Meldav's managed to pick off one driver here up into 17th place, having had that nightmare of an opening lap, as Corey once again getting the same run down the start finish straight that he got on the first lap. He's going to look to try and go around the outside, second lap should I say, but is he going to keep himself there this time? Again, similar story there, just had to get out of it there, as Cucumber managed to hold his line there on the inside of the corner. Still Onzi and Clen here in 3rd and 4th places. Clen looking ever so close to the back of Onzi at this moment in the battle for 3rd and 4th places. Cracking battle here throughout the whole pack right now. But for the time being, Cucumber still clinging onto this lead. Corey, though, knocking on the door. But Cucumber will be looking to try and extend his lead in the championship after tonight. Obviously, he's got a good lead already here of 24 points in his pursuit of potentially getting a second championship here at the Red Arrows F1 League. I think ZX10 has had a moment here. ZX10 has got a bit out of shape there going through the Kobayashi hairpin. Potentially he's going to lose out here to Always Grinding. He's Always Grinding going to move ahead here, as ZX10 holds on to that one for the time being and remains in 11th place for now. Corey here is on the back of Cucumber as they come down the back straight towards 130R once again. But he's going to wait a little bit longer here because I mean, do you want to make a move here? I guess he's going to try it. He's going to make a move here. So Cucumber waves him through and says, after you, mate. I'm going to just get the DRS here out of this corner. But Corey could catch him out here if he gets a good exit. No, he gets a bit of a slide there, does Corey. And that's going to give Cucumber a free pass to make the move. And potentially Onzi could also get involved in this as well. But he's a bit too far away. But here comes Cucumber. Is he going to have a chance? Corey's got incredible straight line speed and is able to hold on to that one into turn 1 and makes that move stick there. As we also see, we've got ZX10 and Quimo are going side by side. ZX10 makes that move. Quimo getting pushed a bit wide there. I think there was some slight contact there between him, or maybe Quimo anticipated contact and moved off the track, but I think there was a bit of banging wheels, and Quimo there down to 11th place in that one. ZX10 into the top 10 for the time being. But Corey is still keeping Cucumber at bay as they're coming through the Degners here on lap 5 of the race. We saw Onzi going a bit wide there as they went through the first of the Degners, which would have just allowed Clen to get a little bit more confidence here in 4th place, seeing that the car in front struggling with a bit of understeer, but perhaps in the dirty air of the cars in front. Glenn is knocking on the door of a podium right now in his early stages of the race, so he'll be fancying this as this first stint wears on. So there they are, top 8 now, broken away a bit from Angry Guns. ZX10 are closing up onto the back of Angry Guns, looking to try and pile the pressure on here for 9th place. ZX10 are coming into this one 3rd in the championship tonight, but a fair way off for the leaders in the championship, Cucumber and Corey. We're only about 15 points behind Corey, but Corey's still in touch with Cucumber. But Cucumber still on the back of Corey. Corey, though, has shown he's got very strong straight line speed, so Cucumber might struggle here, even with DRS, to really get on terms with him, and he is really struggling to get on terms with him at the moment. He's not even nearly close enough going into turn 1. It's one of those overtaking zones where you have to be alongside and ahead, really, to have a chance, because of the nature of the corner. It's flat out until you get to, well, turn 1's technically flat out, and then you want to brake just before you get to the curve on the outside for turn 2. It depends how you see it. I mean, turn 1 you could sort of count the whole thing as a corner, as one corner, in which case turn 1 isn't flat, but turn 1, I suppose in the literal sense, is a flat out corner. But you do have to brake just as you get into the, just after the entry into that what is that complex. But Corey nonetheless out the front here with a half a second gap over Cucumber at the moment. And Onzi and Glenn still keeping tabs to these guys at the moment. So are Ernie, Northover, Luigi, Sven and Andrew Pittsmith not far away. So the top 8 are very much still in play here. This is technically 8 cars in a DRS train for the lead of the race right now, which Corey is still leading at this point. Can Cucumber get close enough to have a chance in the DRS down the main straight? So far it hasn't proved to be possible here for him, but he seems a bit closer this time around. Maybe now Cucumber might have a chance. He's going to use that slipstream in DRS. Is he going to look to the inside here into turn 1? He's going to have a look here up the inside, right over the curb a little bit as Corey closes the door, and Cucumber just wasn't able to find a space there on the inside. He had a look, he had to think about it. Corey said absolutely not. There's no way you're going to make that one work. As always, Grinding's got ahead of Quimo now, up into 11th place as well, so that's a move for position. But Corey was just closed the door there, didn't he? Slammed it in Cucumber's face. Cucumber was like, oh, can I come through? No, absolutely not, said Corey. Not happening. As Onzi and Glenn still right behind Ernie and Northover, and Luigi Sven's dropped off for the lead pack a little bit here. So is Andrew Pittsmith. These two fighting out over 7th place, but they've now dropped the lead battle a little bit here, or rather dropped off the lead battle, should I say. The lead battle has dropped them, essentially, but in the meantime, we've also got Percival here, who's been passed by Meldav. So Meldav now up 2 places after that opening lap calamity, and he'll be focusing on potentially getting ahead of the likes of CJ Murphy and Eric Pinto over the next few laps. These 3 guys are going to be the most obvious targets for him next up in, well, quite shortly, you would think. But in the meantime, Corey out the front here with almost a second of a gap over Cucumber at the moment. In these early laps here at Suzuka, we've got Onzi there looking to the inside into the chicane. He keeps on doing that, keeps on throwing little distraction feints to the inside there. So far haven't proved fruitful in this race, but at this point looking like Corey is extending the gap here to Cucumber. It was almost out of DRS that time, but Cucumber just managing to stay within it for the time being, as Andrew Pittsmith's got ahead of Luigi Sven. Obviously Luigi no longer with DRS on the leaders, so that's given Andrew a free crack at him, and he's managed to make that move at the first opportunity there. But frenetic opening lap here to the opening laps to this Japanese Grand Prix tonight at the Red Arrows Formula 1 League. Corey still has the lead at the moment and is almost extending it to over a second now, so it's looking like he might potentially be able to settle into a bit of a rhythm here out the front. If he can break that second back, it will give him take the pressure off a little bit. And some drivers do better when they haven't got pressure on them. Some are conversely will excel under pressure, but for some drivers it's better when they don't have that, and they can just sort of be a bit more free in how they go about their business. Really depends, everyone's different, aren't they? But Cucumber here could be having to look in his mirrors pretty shortly, because Onzi is all over him as they come through 130R. He's going to have a good chance here, is Onzi, of making the move down the main straight. Cucumber doesn't appear to have great straight line speed. He also hasn't got DRS this time on Corey, so now Onzi could be sensing an opportunity here as they come out of the final corner. Maybe the gap just a little bit too big here. 6/10 they hit the DRS zone, so Cucumber should be alright for now, but Onzi's going to be keeping him on his toes here. Clen is looking on the back of Onzi as well. Look at this. Side by side into turn one, and the teammates swap positions there as Clen up the inside. I was watching Onzi there with the DRS on the back of Cucumber and didn't even see that Clen was coming. So Clen just managed to duck through him there, but they're side by side as they come through the S's, and Onzi's managed to get back ahead of Clen as they come through that sequence of corners there. So Onzi, for the time being, maintains third place after losing it for a moment there. Clen looked like he had that move done on his teammate, but it hasn't transpired. It hasn't been able to be stuck there for Clen, and he's now got Ernie on the back of him here in the battle for what should be fourth place in a moment. But Onzi still in third place at this point, and Clen couldn't make that one work for the time being. It's Corey still out the front here with just under a second of a gap right now over Cucumber. There's Onzi running in P3 still. Clen, Ernie, there's Northover and Andrew Pittsmith, the top 7 drivers now. Andrew Pittsmith has closed up onto the leaders here, so he's flying at the moment with Andrew Pittsmith. He's had a really strong opening few laps to this race. Didn't have a great wet qualifying session, but in the dry has certainly shown he's got plenty of potential here. Corey's still leading there by just under a second to Cucumber. There's Onzi, Clen, Ernie, Northover, Andrew, Angry Guns, there's ZX10 are always grinding. Running a couple of seconds clear of Quimo now. And there's Eric Pinto leading this train of cars. Oh, sorry, CJ even leading this train of cars. Eric Pinto, Percival, Murph. Percival getting a 3-second time penalty there for cutting the corner. As we see him also they're getting out of shape going through the chicane, losing a load of places as a result of that one. Meldav's come into the pits, so has Luigi Sven, so Eric Pinto and Percival joining those two as the drivers to have come into the pits and get those medium tyres off in these early stages. And Eric Pinto putting hard tyres on, the others going for mediums, pretty much confirming that it's probably going to be a 2-stop here tonight for a lot of these guys. But Eric Pinto, they're emerging out on the track just behind Meldav, who comes out in P16 after the pits. But Corey still out the front here with a half a second gap over Cucumber at this moment. But Cucumber looking to try and come back at him. Opening few laps were led by Cucumber. Corey was obviously on pole, and then Cucumber got him into turn 1 with a great start, but since then it's looked like Corey has probably had the measure, was putting him under a lot of pressure in the opening few laps, managed to find a way past, but over these last couple of laps it seems like Cucumber's fought back a little bit and is trying to take this race here to the V-Carb driver. These two, I've mentioned it before, they are the top 2 in the championship coming into tonight, but Cucumber with a sizable lead at this point of 24 points, but 24 points is not, it's by no means a foregone conclusion as they come into turn 1 once again, and for the time being Corey still has the measure over Cucumber. At the moment we've got Andrew into the pits now at the end of lap 10, also Clen and CJ also coming into the pits as well, so plenty of drivers now having made their stops, getting those medium tyres off. Hard tyres going on there for Andrew and Clen, and CJ as well putting the hard tyres on. So I wonder if those guys are going to try on one stop here, because they got the medium tyres off on lap 10. You'd think the hard tyres might be able to go 17 laps. Eric Pinto got his hard tyres on a lap ago, so he'd have to do 18 laps on his hard tyres. He's another one who might be able to one stop, but it would be a push. But I'd say it's probably possible at this point. But possible and likely are two very different ways of looking at it. But anyway, at the moment it's Corey still out the front. Cucumber trying to take this fight here to Corey at this moment as they come down the long back straight towards 130R once again then. So here they come then, Corey. We're just under a second here to Cucumber at the moment. We see Onzi into the pits here at the end of lap 11. So is Ernie. So those guys are going to put the hard tyres on. Almost definitely they're going to be on for a one stop here in this race. The two leaders still tied at the hip at the moment. You see Moldav there doing the fast lap of the race there in the Red Bull. 31.2 there on that previous time around. And to be fair, he's done a good job there as Moldav. After the opening lap calamity, was onto the grass on the first lap, but since then has recovered pretty nicely here. Got himself up into P13. He's got fresh-ish medium tyres on, but fair way behind the likes of Luigi and Ernie, Andrew and Glenn, who've pitted for their hard and medium tyres. Luigi on medium tyres, as is Moldav. But the other three, Ernie, Andrew and Glenn, they're on the hard tyres. I think Onzi's a bit... Actually, no, Onzi's only just ahead of Luigi Sven, actually. He's not that far ahead, actually, of those guys at all. But we're watching the lead battle here as they're coming into the final chicane once again. I reckon we're going to see these two at the end of this lap, or one of them going to try and do the opposite strategy here. Yep, Cucumber's staying out, Corey is in. So Cucumber's going to go for a delta here, a tyre delta for the final stint. So Corey will get the undercut and will, barring any monumental mistakes over the course of these next couple of laps, will maintain track position on Cucumber. But Cucumber will have fresher tyres depending on if he pits now or whenever, but he'll have slightly fresher tyres for the final stint, which might make a small difference over the course of the final stint. So that's going to be one to watch out for here. But Cucumber still leading the race. Angry Guns started on the hard tyres, currently 7 seconds behind Cucumber on the track at the moment. As we've got Kiwi, GNR Kiwi also on the medium tyres, which they started the race on here, so they're all the way back right now. But for Cucumber here, this is a crucial part of the race because it's almost certain that Corey's going to gain a couple of seconds here because Cucumber's on very worn out medium tyres. Corey's on fresh hard tyres at this moment in the race, so Cucumber's got to try and do damage limitation here and hope that the fresher tyres over the course of the last stint will pay dividends. He's doing his best middle sector of the lap so far, or doing the best first two sectors, should I say, of the race so far. So he's clearly saved up a bit of tyres here, but he'd have to put in an absolute worldie of an in-lap here to post a faster lap than what Corey's done. So I think Corey's going to take the lead of the race, or rather reassume the lead of the race, because he was the leader before he came in. But Cucumber putting those hard tyres on now, so he'll be doing the final 14 laps on those. Corey just coming through the chicane, and Cucumber's halfway down the pit lane. Here comes Corey. So Corey almost at the end of the pit lane now. Sorry, Corey almost at the end of the pit lane, and Cucumber just coming out. So Corey does maintain the race lead. And to be fair, Cucumber did really, really well there to come out so close to him, because he did a lap extra on those medium tyres, and it's clearly saved a lot of tyres and actually put in a fantastic lap time. And he'll probably have about a tenth a lap. It's a very, very small delta, obviously staying, or rather coming in a lap later, but a tenth of a second a lap, that might pay dividends towards the end of the race. And once you've done sort of 14 laps on the tyres, every little bit of tread will help. But Corey's still the net leader. Obviously Angry Guns yet to pit at the moment, having started on those hard tyres. We'll have the faster mediums for the final stint. We don't know when he's going to come in. We know obviously now that the mediums can do 13 laps with a heavy fuel load, with a slightly lighter average fuel load over the course of a stint. I imagine they'll probably do it a little bit more easily, but whether or not Angry Guns decides to come in at the first opportunity of his pit window, we'll have to see. And when I say the pit window, obviously I'm working purely on precedent here rather than on any testing or theory, which these guys might have a bit more idea on. But Angry Guns here starting lap 15 of this Japanese Grand Prix here tonight. with over a 10-second gap over Corey at the moment, running in second place. There's Cucumber, well within a second of him at the moment as they come down the start finish straight. A bit too far away there going into turn 1 for the time being. Luigi Sven there in 4th ahead of Onzi, Ernie there with Andrew Pittsmith, Glenn Northover, ZX10 completing the top 10. There's Meldav in 11th place ahead of Always Grinding, Quimo, CJ Drama and Eric Pinto just behind those guys, with Percival, Murph and GNR Kiwi there a long way back there in P18. But Angry Guns has done a fair old distance here on these hard tyres. Surely this is going to be the lap where he comes into the pits and gets those off. Or is he going to stay out and maximise his delta towards the end of the race? He's got a lot of cars to overtake. He might be best off getting in as soon as he can here to minimise that number. But for Angry Guns, is he going to box this time around? Here we come into the chicane once again. 15 laps on these hard tyres. 15 laps is all it's going to be here for Angry Guns. Here we come then. Gets it stopped nicely. So what he's going to come out in, because he's going to have fresh medium tyres, not massively fresher than everyone else. His tyres will probably be fresher than the other guys around him until the end. Just about. Be quite close. Some of the hard tyre runners, you might see a crossover in performance on the last lap or so. But Angry Guns here coming out onto the track now. P10, P11 now, just behind Meldav. So yeah, he should have pace. It'll be interesting to see what he can do in this final stint, as Corey's still leading but Cucumber hassling the back of him. And we've got 12 laps here of these two going at it, with Cucumber on 1 lap fresher tyres, which will make a minimal difference. But really it's down to these guys and who can be the more tenacious over the course of the final stint here of this race. Luigi Sven trying to put the pressure here on Cucumber for second place, but obviously on the medium tyres you would think he's not going to have too much of a chance to do that. I wouldn't have thought. Corey here coming through the final corner once again. Gap to Cucumber now over a second, so he's broken the DRS, which is going to be pivotal here for Corey, because now he's not going to be throwing Cucumber that little lifeline here as they come into turn 1 once again. Luigi Sven there's got Onzi still on the back of him, with Ernie there currently at the back of that trio. But these three not actually that far off of the leaders here, to be honest with you. They've got slightly older tyres. There's Glenn and Andrew in 6th and 7th places, followed by ZX10 and Northover in 8th and 9th. Meldav there currently occupying his final top 10 spot. It's been a decent comeback here from Meldav, but he's on worn out medium tyres. I would have thought he'd be having to come in again. He's definitely on a 2-stop here. I think almost certainly on a 2-stop. It's GNR Kiwi's just on the fast lap of the race on the hard tyres. Now 1 minute 30. So that is a cracking lap there from GNR Kiwi. As long as it's a legal one. But anyway, Corey has got just under a second here to Cucumbers are coming out of Spoon once again. And Cucumber trying to keep him on his toes right now. Luigi, Onzi and Ernie still locked horns here in a battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th places. Onzi looking to the inside there of Luigi, going into the 130R corner. He's going to have a chance. Is he going to... Oh, he's going to lunge up the inside here into the chicane and just try and put Luigi under some pressure here. He's also going to get DRS now as well. So Onzi's played it quite well. Luigi dives into the pits. So in the end, that kind of is put on the back burner a little bit. And now Ernie moves through and swoops ahead of Onzi up into 3rd place. So Ernie timed himself absolutely perfectly there. Saw his moment and completely and utterly mugged Onzi off there, to be honest with you. Fonzie had to get out of it there, as we saw Luigi diving into the pits, and that just allowed Ernie to just swoop through, you know, very comfortably there up into the podium places. Now, what's Ernie got up his sleeve here? We know that Ernie's a driver, very often I see him, it's the final stints of races where he really does come alive. Seen it many times while commentating on leagues that he competes in, so we could be seeing a similar story here tonight potentially. But Corey just over a second ahead of Cucumber at the moment in this fight for the lead of the race, but Cucumber's just starting to lose touch ever so slightly here with the V-Carb driver at the moment. 3.5 seconds back to Ernie there running in third place, who's just ahead of Ozzy as they're going through 130R. There's Clen, and then a bit of a gap back to Andrew and ZX10. There's Northover with Angry Guns and Meldav. Always grinding, not too far behind them. And you got the rest of them: Quimo, CJ, Eric Pinto, Luigi, Sven, Percival, Murph and GNR Kiwi still sticking with it at this point. But Corey almost a second ahead of Cucumber. Cucumber's managed to just reel the gap in a little bit over the last lap or so. It was over a second, it's now well within a second once again, so Cucumber's starting to ramp up the pressure a little bit more at this point. We see Meldav into the pits as well as Quimo at the end of lap 18. As we're approaching the closing stages here of this race, business end of this Japanese Grand Prix here at the Red Arrows Formula 1 League. ZX10 is still just ahead of Andrew Pittsmith here with Northover right on the back of these guys as well now. So plenty of fights throughout the pack right now. Ernie also looking to try and force the initiative on the back of Ozzy. Clen seems to have dropped off for those guys a little bit in that fight for third place. Andrew just getting a penalty there for track limits. So now Andrew and Northover both with penalties. It's been a good drive from ZX10 as well, to be fair. Came from towards the back of the field. Didn't get a great qualifying in that wet qualifying session, but has not messed about over the course of this one and finds himself running in a very solid 6th place at this point. It's Northover here on the back of Andrew as they come out of the final corner. He's got DRS, and Andrew with no DRS on ZX10 to defend himself, and he's going to be vulnerable here to the Sauber as Northover swoops around the outside into turn 1, and that is job done there. Northover up into 7th place without any major dramas there from him. And to be fair, Andrew just, I think, didn't fight that one too hard in the end. It was clear that that one was a bit of a foregone conclusion. As Cucumber here still looking to pile the pressure on the back of Corey. He's closed the gap a little bit over the last couple of laps now, and this one is now very much up in the air between these two again, after Corey did briefly break the DRS a couple of laps ago, but it was not a short-lived extension of the gap here between these two, and it definitely looks like Cucumber's knocking on the door here in this fight for the lead of the race as they come through Spoon once again here. That was Cucumber got up his sleeve here, because we know Corey's quick in a straight line, and he is an absolute rocket ship down that main straight, which is really helping him, because Cucumber, even with DRS, is struggling to get close enough to make a move into turn 1. Luigi Sven in the meantime has got ahead of CJ up into 11th place now. Oh, is CJ a bit wide there going through Spoon? Corey has got a 3-second penalty. That is massive news. Corey with a 3-second penalty, the race leader. We're currently watching a battle between CJ and Eric for 12th and 13th places, but Corey, who has got Cucumber all over him in the fight for the lead, has just picked himself up a track limits penalty, which means that all Cucumber has to do is stay behind him and he'll take the win. So that takes the pressure somewhat off of Cucumber now, because he doesn't need to make a move on the track. He just needs to sit there and wait patiently and for the checkered flag, as long as he doesn't go off the track or get damage or anything like that. And Cucumber will be able to inherit the win by being in the right place at the right time here. So Corey's going to be gutted with that, but at the moment Cucumber in the box seat here with this one. You've got to say your money's got to be on Cucumber at this point. He hasn't really had, there's not really been any points where he's dropped considerably off of Corey over the course of this race. So as it stands, Corey, I think, might end up P2 here, unless of course Cucumber can get a penalty. If Corey can maybe pressure Cucumber into running wide, doing a track limits. We don't know how many penalties, or we don't know how many warnings Cucumber's got so far, so he could be on his final warning. We just don't know. But at this point, in the closing laps here of the Japanese Grand Prix here at the Red Arrows Formula 1 League, Corey and Cucumber, the top two in the championship, the top two in this race here tonight, as they're fighting it out here at the beginning of lap 22. Cucumber with DRS down the main straight, a little bit too far away into turn 1. We saw what happened earlier in the race, where Cucumber just ducked his nose there onto the curb into turn 1 on the inside of Corey, and Corey slammed the door and made it absolutely clear that he was not going to allow Cucumber to dive up the inside into turn 2. In the meantime, it does seem like Kiwi's got ahead of Quimo up into P16 down the main straight, and that seems to be a job done there for the Aston Martin. So Kiwi up into 16th place for the time being. As Quimo's gone a bit backwards here over the course of this race. Was sort of up there in the top 10 in the early stages, but things have unravelled considerably here for the Ferrari driver, which is a bit of a shame to see. Corey still ahead of Cucumber in this fight for the lead. Eric Pinto there picking up a 3-second penalty as well now. So a few drivers falling foul of the race stewards, including the race leader at this point. So it seems like no one's immune to the wrath of the stewards here in Japan. But Corey here starting lap 23 of the race, 5 to go here in this race here at Suzuka tonight. Gap just under a second here to Cucumber at this point. There's Onzi just ahead of Clen. Clen is still keeping tabs of him at the moment, but could be also having to watch out because Ernie is not far away at all. ZX10 right behind him, and then a bit of a gap to Northover and Angry Guns. Always grinding there in P9, a fair way ahead of Luigi Sven at the moment. CJ, Eric Pinto, there's Andrew Pittsmith with Meldav and Murph there coming over the line. As we see Quimo and Kiwi with Percival there running in P18. But here is Corey, still with the advantage at the moment. I think it's Corey needs to break the DRS and needs to start putting a gap here to Cucumber as soon as possible, because at this point it's looking like Cucumber is going to be the race winner, almost guaranteed, because as long as he stays within 3 seconds of Corey, he will be the winner by default on the time penalties. So Corey has got to pull something special out of the bag here if he wants any chance of converting this P1 into a race win. So we see Clen now getting closer to the back of Onzi in this fight for third place, having got ahead of Ernie. Clen now looking to try and make it another move here. His teammate is right in front of him here, as he's got DRS and slipstream down towards turn 1. Isn't quite close enough here. He's made the move on Onzi into turn 1 earlier on in this race, but this time around was just a little bit too far back. But we know it's possible for him to do it. Maybe the next time around we'll be seeing a different story there going into that corner between those two. Corey and Cucumber still running close. Onzi, Clen and Ernie still going at it right now. ZX Tenor has really gained on these guys over the last few laps. Could ZX Tenor end up on the podium here tonight? That would be an incredible achievement after the first few laps. And he's right there. He is well within that fight. Leaders here coming through the long right-hander before Spoon curve. And Cucumber is putting that pressure on the back of Corey. He doesn't have to, but I'm sure he'd love to finish first on the track as well as picking up the maximum points here tonight. As they come down this back straight once again here, Corey still has that advantage for the time being. So Cucumber here right on the back of Corey at this point as they come out of the final corner. DRS and Slipstream here now. He's going to have a good chance here. His Cucumber looks to the inside and he's going to make the move for the lead of the race here. Eric Suzuka into turn one he goes, and Corey can't really do much about that at all. Cucumber down the inside, and he's made that move stick quite easily there as Cucumber. Corey trying to come back in there, going through into turn three, but to no avail. Cucumber has made that one stick there with 3 laps left to go and might now just start to extend the gap a little bit. He's got no penalties. He's got the upper hand mentally and in terms of outright pace as well on the track here tonight. He seems to now have the impetus here, and I think we're going to be seeing Cucumber just cement this winning position here tonight. Onzi here has been passed by Clen now, so Clen is up into 3rd place. Whilst we're watching that battle for the lead, the 2 Alpines have swapped over, but I'm sure Onzi's not done. I'm sure he's going to give Clen a bit of a fight over these next couple of laps. With what, 2.5 laps left to go, so there's still going to be chances here. Ernie's right there as well, so he'll be looking to feast on these scraps. ZX10 is now really in this fight and could be on for a top 5, maybe even more. Who knows? These guys in front of him could easily trip over each other. Even if they don't, he might be able to nick some places here. But ZX10 looking very close on Ernie. Ernie's almost lost the DRS here to the guys in front, and now ZX10 needs to make this move. He needs to try and go have a very strong chicane here to stay within DRS of these guys in front, but ZX10 has made that move there on Ernie. Ernie had a horrible run there going down the back straight and also through 130R as well, but ZX10 I think might have DRS here. No, he doesn't. He missed out on DRS there to Onzi. Onzi has DRS on his teammate Clen, but Clen's far enough away there as they go into turn 1, but ZX10 still has a chance of a podium here with 2 laps left in this race. It's not by no means out of the window here for him, as the 2 leaders are still running tight at the hip right now. 0.2 of a second, 0.3 of a second, 0.4 of a second, whatever it is. It's not very much here between these two at the moment, between Cucumber and Corey. Clen still running in 3rd place, has got Onzi, ZX10 and Ernie in his mirrors, but Ernie seems to have dropped off of these guys a little bit over the last half a lap or so. Maybe now his charge for a podium may just be petering out at this point. But Clen's charge for the podium is looking to be on course at the moment, unless of course his teammate can deny him, unless ZX10 can complete a phenomenal comeback here from well, towards the back at in the early stages to obviously P5 at the moment. The Cucumber is coming down the back straight here towards 130R once again. Corey keeping him under pressure at the moment. So here we go then. Corey still would extend the lead over Cucumber at the moment, but having made that move just a moment ago into turn 1, but Cucumber's going to obviously inherit the race lead on Corey by the time we get to the end of this race. Clen is still running in 3rd place ahead of Onzi with ZX10 right behind him at this point. That better not have turned my audio off. That better not have turned my audio off.
Kerry Gunn started on the hard tyres, currently 7 seconds behind Cucumber on the track at the
moment.
In P3 still Clen.
Stop dragging. Right. Here we are then, final few corners. So we got Cucumber here still sticking to the back of Corey. Corey I think is going to take the win on the track here, because Cucumber seems to be a little bit too far back as they come through 130R down towards the chicane. Corey will defend it. So it's going to be Corey to take the win on the track, but Cucumber kept his nose clean, kept himself disciplined over the course of this race. ZX10 has moved ahead of Onzi into 4th place. Is that going to be job done? It seems like he may have completed that move there. Great stuff there from him, but Cucumber takes the win on the penalties ahead of Corey, who is classified in 2nd place. Clen completes the podium there. Onzi and ZX10 across the line together, but Onzi just pips ZX10 to 4th place there ahead of ZX10 5th. Ernie comes over to take P6 in the end. Angry Gun 7th with Northover in 8th. Luigi Sven is going to come around to finish in 9th place ahead of Always Grinding, who completes the top 10. Andrew Pittsmith dropped away towards the end there. 11th place here for Andrew as he comes over the line. There is CJ to finish this one in 12th place ahead of Meldav, who's crossing the line in 13th. Eric Pinto 14th. There's GNR Kiwi coming over in P15. In fact, P14 on the penalties ahead of Eric Pinto. Quimo's going to come around the final corner here to take 16th place here in the end, with Murph just coming around the final corner in 17th place, and Percival will be the last driver to finish here at 18th place. But Cucumber and Corey put on a great fight there. Clen doing brilliantly to finish on the podium, but Cucumber will extend his championship lead after tonight over Corey, after Corey gave it everything, put up every single possible fight he could, but could not quite prevail there. And Cucumber delivers the goods here at Suzuka tonight. So that is going to be that then for the action here for round 10 of this 14 round season for the Red Arrows Formula 1 League. 4 races left, and Cucumber taking another step towards a 2nd Red Arrows Formula 1 League championship after winning the championship 2 seasons ago, and could be set to regain his title. But that is that for tonight. Thanks to Red Arrows again for having me on the comms. Thanks to all the drivers for putting on a fantastic show. It was an absolute pleasure to cover the action here tonight, and we'll see you all in the next one. Cheers everybody, and good night.